stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference.
Well, hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Today is Monday, November 7th, 2022, and this is episode number 459 of a show where you join me with my family here on the homestead as we grow all around, as we talk about the 5 W's and how, as we grow along with all of the various businesses here at York Meadow Farm. And the title of today's show is the Weekend Market Recap. No markets. Now what? And that's right. For the first time in a long time, we did not have any farmers markets of any kind whatsoever. And quite frankly, it was a nice change of pace, but there was still a lot of activity going on. It was a very busy weekend, and we will get into that in just a moment. But without further ado, let's take a moment to briefly mention our sponsor, York Meadow Farm. If you are interested in products that you are already using, for example, bath and body products, check out York Meadow Farm for clean, natural products. It's a great way to help support this show, help support my family, the businesses that we are engaging in. And for products that you are already using, I would really encourage you to check out these soaps, hand creams, both bar and liquid soaps. They're good products. I use them daily. Obviously, I live here. Mom makes them, and I'm lucky enough to use them. But if I didn't, I would really consider using them because based on my experience, the soaps last a long time. The bar soaps are very hard. They're cured for months and stored properly, dried, like on the little soap holders that we sell as well. They last a very, very long time. The hand cream is also something that I use as like right out of the shower every day. Well, if I take a shower every day, that is, which I don't. But generally speaking, after I wash my face with cold water in the morning, I'll use that and use it like a beard balm as well. So that is actually one idea that I'm thinking of in terms of some of the rebranding that we're going to talk about in just a minute here in terms of what took place this weekend. And what took place this weekend is the notes that I just made are gone. So that's unfortunate. So we're just going to have to wing it. I don't know what I just did here, but I lost my notes. At any rate, in addition to York Meadow Farm being a good sponsor that produces good quality bath and body products, there are also an abundance of fermented foods with probiotics, just stuff good for your guts. And we've been receiving a lot of good quality reviews, many from you guys out there. So thank you for the kind words and thank you for your support. And if you are interested in trying any of this stuff, YorkMeadowFarm.com is where you need to go. And just remember, All Around Growth is the discount code that you can use at checkout to save 25%. In addition to York Meadow Farm being a gracious sponsor to the show and allowing us a superior discount like that, I'd also like to say thank you to Food Forest Farms for allowing us the opportunity to record the show, oftentimes stream it. That is not the case today, but we are putting episodes up in video content in addition to audio content, and that is in large part due to Food Forest Farms. So check out Food Forest Farms for high quality coffee, information on the upcoming Squatch Fest in June 2023, a solstice celebration of music, art, and light. You can learn more at foodforestfarms.com. And with that, let's get into the weekend market recap and what took place with no markets. So, what happened, right? Um, it was it was a busy weekend, and I don't know if it was a celebratory thing that we did, but I had an opportunity to sit down with Cody and interview Cody. Cody is the tenant farmer here at York Meadow Farm. He manages the 1 acre plus market garden up front and has been doing so for about 4 seasons or so here. And we had a great conversation that lasted approximately an hour and a half. And by the time the conversation ended, my brother was already here. And so I got to spend some time with family, not as much as I would have liked because I still had work to do from the week prior. I had a batch of curtido to make on Saturday, and then I ended up making pickles on Sunday afternoon. I meant under normal circumstances, this all would have been done last week, but last week consisted of a lot of time spent on content creation, live streaming from the kitchen, learning how to navigate this platform StreamYard, just doing a lot of work related to the farm, but not related to actual production, well, of product. So accordingly, I was not really aware that my brother and the girls were coming over this weekend, or if I was, I had forgotten about it. But luckily, they had planned to do some other things, like go to an open house at Yellow House Cheese, and I will be sure to link to Yellow House Cheese in the show notes as well, just so you can learn more about who they are and what they do and how they support us, along with another half a dozen vendors. And that's something that Cody and I talked about tomorrow, and you can expect to hear, or we talked about that on Saturday, and you can expect to hear that interview tomorrow. Um, Now, in addition to just getting work done and making product, I had some good conversations with my brother about all manner of things. Uh, he was helping. What were they doing in the cabin? Something with the microwave, replacing a circuit in the panel, and then replacing some fuses in the microwave. And they were taking a look at one of the outlets in the commercial kitchen that seems to continually trip, but there doesn't seem to be a problem with the outlet. We think it's the chest freezer that's probably 40 years old, 50 years old. We got it for free. It still works, but it could be the cause of the issue with regard to that particular circuit continually tripping. And I guess we'll find out when we move that thing into the barn, and we'll see what happens with that. But yes, no markets this weekend. Lots of production, lots of continued production. And one of the things that we're like I've mentioned before, normally at this time in November, we're scaling back a little bit, but due to the fact that we are likely going to be selling in grocery stores, one of which is Meyer, and I'll link to that in the show notes, and I've spoken about that in the past. But one of the things that we really realized that we need to do before moving forward and getting into something that sounds very good, but is also something that we don't fully understand, is we need to sit down and really identify our costs, because that was something that we need to do as a vendor. When you get into a grocery store, part of the onboarding process is submitting your unit costs, your suggested retail costs, and things of that nature. And we know what we sell the product for. We know what we make in terms of sales. We know what's in the bank. And we are working on, I, better identifying our expenditures and our costs. And that's something that I'm going to spend a little time on digging in myself, and then seeing what dad's done with that. And we're going to sit down on that maybe sometime this week. If not this week, definitely next week. It all depends on the work that I've got to do. And that is the now what. So, in terms of identifying the costs, we make a bunch of different products. Many of the products are simply iterations or modifications of a foundation product, which is the traditional kraut. So I'll start there, and taking into consideration everything from the jar, the lid, the cabbage, the salt, the pH strips that we use to test it, the gloves that I wear, the the paper towels, the cleaning wipes, the bleach that we use for the sanitizing solution, uh, the springs that we use, the, just everything that goes into that, and try to really pinpoint down where we're at, um, what we're doing, and what we need to change in order to continue on this path of growth and development. That, guys, is really, in a nutshell, what the weekend consisted of. No market recap, lots of talk about what we need to do now, what we need to do better, and what we need to prioritize before doing a lot of this other stuff. For example, we've been talking a lot about rebranding. We've been talking a lot about, you know, creating content. We've been talking a lot about new products. We've been talking a lot about putting on workshops. We've been talking a lot about, we've got a lot of great ideas, and they're all great ideas. But I believe it was Earl Nightingale who said, ideas are worthless unless executed upon. And that's where we're at now. The rubber hits the road. So, beginning today, I will be spending some time on a lot of tasks that have been neglected, and things that I simply didn't want to do. I'm interested in making stuff, I'm interested in selling stuff. And that's great. But if the stuff that you're making and the stuff that you're selling isn't really making you money, then you really need to revisit what you're doing. And one would think, well, Rob, don't you have some idea of what's going on? I mean, yes and no. I stepped into a business that I'm helping a lot out, but if I'm going to take this over someday, which it sounds like that's likely going to be the case. I mean, it's my father's 76, and none of us live forever, and so I'm going to have to learn these things. And I suspect that he's doing a lot of this because these are things that he's actually mentioned to me. And while they're things that I've thought about, my primary objective has been to show up, be of service, and help in whatever capacity that consists. And for now, it's basic, or up until this point, it's been, you know, just being the extra hand, doing the dishes, lifting the heavy things. Now that I understand the processes, I'm doing all of that and making the stuff and packing the stuff and relaying information to dad what needs to be done. We need these labels printed. We need this material picked up. We need these orders placed. I need, yeah, I mean, so on and so forth. So we make a good team. But now that things are slowing a little bit and we don't have these active markets and there's just a little bit of a lull, while I've spent the past week continuing to grind out product and produce product, I think I'm going to step back a little bit and take a moment to focus on the guts, the nuts and the bolts of the business, and really, really, really take a moment to get grounded. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to also do this week and share with you this week was provide some insight into the upcoming episodes for the rest of the week. And tomorrow, Tuesday, November 8th, we're going to have episode number 460, which will be the interview that I did on Saturday morning with Cody Gray. And that will be titled Cody Gray on Living and Providing. Wednesday's episode will be back to financial topics with an episode titled Why You Should Not Buy Bitcoin. Somewhat provocative. And I think there are plenty of not plenty, but I think there is one primary driving reason why people should not buy Bitcoin. And you're going to have to tune in Wednesday, November 9th for episode number 461 to find out. Thursday, episode number 462 will be an episode on my history and research of the Asian squat, the deep squat, the primal squat, the Slavic squat, whatever you want to call it. A type of movement that many Westerners, including myself, are very challenged with doing. So we're going to talk about that and my fascination with my inability to do this movement dates back almost 10 years at this point, at least 8 to 9 years. So we'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday. And Friday, we're going to do one final deep dive into the goal setting workbook again. Now, last Friday, November 4th, just a few days ago, episode number 458 was titled Dream, Plan, Act. And the whole idea with that episode, which received more downloads than any other episode that week and the week prior, is about setting goals, utilizing the goal setting workbook. We're going to talk about the goal setting workbook in every episode this week, just briefly, and I will link to it in every episode this week. And I would definitely encourage you to check out the goal setting workbook. It is a very comprehensive guide to setting goals in 7 different areas of your life: financial, physical, personal development, family, spiritual, social, and career. Okay. And we set goals in that order. And the basic framework is thinking about our lives 3 years out from now and where we want to be at that point and what we can do this year to begin walking that path to make that happen, and ultimately what we can do today to make all of that a reality. The idea with this goal setting workbook is that we have it done by November 14th, which is 1 week from today. Why? November 14th is 48 days from the first of the year, January 1st, 2023. Why 48 days? Why is that significant? Dan Miller is author of the book 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love. And this goal setting guide was written by him. 48 days is kind of his catch phrase, his key thing, right? What we do at that point is we jump on a Zoom call with Dan Miller himself on Monday, next Monday, the 14th. So I'll link to that as well. Okay, now we've set goals. Now what? You can hear my take on it, and that's great, and I appreciate you tuning in to listen to that. But I'd really like you to tune in and hear Dan's take on it, because that's kind of like straight from the horse's mouth. I've spent a lot of time over the years listening to Dan and the work that he's done, and reading the work that he's done, and listening to his podcast. Over the past couple of years, I've spent time in the 48 Days Eagles community, participating in that community with people who are of like mind. And I feel that that's been a big part of my own growth and development. That's something that I lump into my personal development goals, the activities that I engage in there with that community. And that community right now is actually closed to new membership. It's kind of capped out. They limit it because too many people in there. It's too much, junked out. So there are limitations and restrictions on how many people can actively engage at any given time. And one of the nice things about this Zoom call is it gives you some insight into what you can expect to receive in the 48 Days Eagles community, as well as reviewing the goal setting guide and understanding what's next. So the 48 Days Eagles community will be open for membership for 48 hours after that Zoom call, which I believe is at 3:00 Eastern time next Monday. And I'll link to that in the show notes as well, so you can register for that. And if you already know that you want to sign up and be a member of this Eagles community with me, with some other people out there like Ken Esch, then click the link in the show notes and check it out. Sign up for it and get ready. Either way, one action step that I'm definitely going to encourage you to take is download the goal setting guide in the show notes and in the description, because that is the first step. Whether you get on this Zoom call on next Monday or not is irrelevant. Whether you engage in the 48 Days Eagles community or not is irrelevant. This goal setting guide is free, and I definitely would encourage you to check it out, because it has helped me tremendously. And the least that I can do is share it with you and encourage you to do the same, to check it out and see how it's going to benefit you. So guys, that's it for today's show. That's it for, or that's what you can expect for the week. I'm excited to have had the opportunity to do some prep work, to think ahead. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, for those of you in the Telegram group, you guys already know this. The Telegram group you can find and participate at t.me/allaroundgrowth. But we one of the things that I'm going to try and start doing is interviews on a weekly basis. Last week, I got Cody. This week, I'm putting feelers out for a bit of a casual interview via Zoom or StreamYard in this case. And yeah, it'll be a casual interview. We'll talk about some things. I'll have some questions for you. You'll probably have some questions for me. We'll cap the discussion at about a half hour, 45 minutes or so. And that will be a podcast interview. And for participating in this, I will gladly provide you with the video and audio file as well for your use to do with as you will, to share on your platforms if you're a content creator. And that way it benefits both of us. So hopefully moving forward, each week we will have an interview of some kind. And moving forward, I'm going to try and line these out, and I'm actively talking with people in the Telegram group too about scheduling options and things that we can do for to facilitate bringing people on the show. And then as that becomes more and more successful and people are more interested in the interviews, I will most likely engage in what a lot of other people engage in, which is having a form online that people can fill out in order to come on the show to talk about things that they want to talk about. And that will be a little bit easier in terms of having guests on the show. But for now, the audience is still growing. And honestly, I'm more interested in talking to people that interest me at this point, to build up that base. And hopefully things that I find interesting, you will also find interesting. And that will provide, additional diversification to a show which has already gone through several iterations of transition and change over the years. So, all right, guys, that is it. Let's call it a day with that. I am very excited to release this episode tomorrow with this interview for Cody, the long awaited interview. So stay tuned for episode number 460 tomorrow with Cody Gray on living and providing. And be sure to check out the show notes for everything that is talked about today. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.
In a world of pain, what can I do? The needs are many and answers a few. People turn away and I wonder why. If I can help somebody, then I want to try. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. And truth is always the best way to the world that may seem odd. I'm an odd fellow. I'm an odd fellow. Whoa, whoa. I'm an odd fellow. If we stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call. You know the times are wasting every day, and we can help somebody along the way. People may think that it's odd that I believe